Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and we've got some big updates for the new car market. Before we get into this video though, as always, if you're going to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. And then some of the information provided in today's video comes from Cox Automotive. Let's get into it. Let's start things off by going over the big headline figures. The first one is the total amount of new vehicle inventory available. 2.4 million units right now, which is crazy. This represents a 67-day supply. So what this means is at the current sales pace, it would take 67 days to sell all of this inventory, which is slightly above what is considered ideal. Ideal is considered, a 60-day supply within the new car industry. So we're just slightly above ideal from a day supply number perspective. $47,000 is the average listing price, not the average, sales price on a new vehicle. Now, this represents a huge increase in terms of overall inventory, 62% year over year. That represents almost 900,000 plus units that are now available for you to buy in the new car market that you didn't have available last year. I mean, that is absolutely insane. And when you look at the different brands in terms of who has cars and who doesn't, it's kind of the same trend that we've seen for most of the last year. So brands that don't have cars still, Toyota, Honda, Kia, Subaru, Cadillac, right? And then brands that have a ton of cars, Dodge, Chrysler, Ram, Jeep, Lincoln, Infiniti, Buick, Genesis. And so yeah, those trends have definitely continued to move forward. And, as someone who reviews cars for a living and is constantly looking at, the packaging of different cars and what different automakers are offering at different price points, this makes complete sense. Because, okay, let's take Toyota, for example. They have the lowest day supply of vehicles in the car industry right now, 33 days supply. Well, Toyota's price increases on all of their cars have been pretty reasonable. And if you look at the packaging with a lot of Toyotas, it's actually really good. Like, you get a lot of value for the money. I just reviewed a Toyota Prius the other day, and at just over $30,000, that car had adaptive cruise control, blind spot monitoring, got over 50 miles per gallon. It had heated seats. Like, it was a nicely packaged car, just over $30,000. So if you look at that, it makes sense as to why Toyota doesn't have a lot of cars, because good value. Now, on the flip side, if we go over to Ram, for example, that has a day supply of 129 days, well, I just reviewed a Ram truck the other day that was over $60,000, and it had cloth seats, and they were at least heated, but it wasn't like a fully loaded truck. It was your middle of the line package, and so it makes sense as to the manufacturers that have a lot of cars and the manufacturers that don't. It just comes down to value for the most part. Or, some of the brands that have a little bit more cars, they just don't have the best reputation. I mean, Infiniti, for example, right? People have always seen that as just a dressed up Nissan, even though Lexus is just a dressed up Toyota and, Cadillac is just a dressed up GMC. But Infiniti, for some reason, gets a lot of flack for that. And so, that's that. But moving on to the rest of the new car market outside of the brands, the next thing to note is that the new vehicle transaction prices have been going down at the same time that the asking prices have also been going down. Now, it's not a massive amount, it's like a 1.5% decrease, and that's month over month, but this does show a trend of prices coming down at the same time that inventory levels have also been going up. And so let's kind of talk about what this means for the overall new car market. So first off, again, you have to look at the day supply number in conjunction with overall inventory, because you'll see a lot of people will focus on that inventory number. They'll be like 2 million cars, car dealers can't sell cars. But again, the day supply number shows that yes, there are, just more cars available and they're selling at a slightly slower sales pace, but they're still selling at a pretty rapid sales pace. The day supply number in the car industry prior to the pandemic was higher than 67 days. I mean, I think it was close to 90 days. It was really rough. Everyone had a massive amount of inventory. We are nowhere near that level. So although there are a lot of cars available, there are still a lot of cars that are selling. Now, with that being said, the sales pace has slowed down, and I have seen this anecdotally, where dealerships have, been having these pretty big inventory buildups, and there's a lot of cars that are, sitting in their lot a little bit longer, but it's still not to the point where it's devastating. At this point, what this looks like for most dealers is they're currently selling more cars than what they were selling last year on a month to month basis, basically. And on top of that, they are getting more cars compared to what they're getting last year. And so they just have more available. And again, people might see this as a negative, but a lot of dealers see this as an overall positive. The only downside for dealers is the fact that they are having to discount these vehicles. So on a per car basis, they're selling these cars at a much bigger discount compared to last year. And so this is leading to overall dealership profitability being down because the increase in volume isn't making up for the decrease in profitability on a per car basis. So I know that was kind of all over the place, and I'll have some more videos kind of talking about what's happening in the new car market over the next week or so. But all you need to know is that there are more new cars available. So that means that as a consumer, you're going to get a bigger discount on a new car. You have better negotiating power. But this doesn't mean that dealerships are in trouble. This doesn't mean that dealerships are going out of business. What this means is that dealerships are going back to the pre-pandemic business model where they discount the crap out of cars to sell them, and they expect to have more cars than they're able to sell. And so dealerships are, again, they're kind of going back to the quote unquote traditional business model where you basically have your dealership. If the dealership isn't owned outright, you pay your land rent, you pay your rent for the building, and then you pay your financing charges on all the inventory that you have, and you're hoping that you're making enough profit to offset that. And I can tell you that although profits are down, dealerships are still making enough money to be able to offset all these extra costs. And worst case scenario, what a lot of dealerships are doing is they're just firing people if they need to lower costs, or they're just lowering, the amount of money that they pay people to offset these increased costs. And so there are still avenues, even though, they're not necessarily the most, pleasant avenues. There are avenues for dealerships to go down without basically going out of business. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about this situation, and let me know if you think now is the time to buy, or if you're going to continue to wait and see if these prices come down even more than they already have. See ya.